find the Aveda of Iskafia and Deir Ashvi. It's the same Iskafia that was in Deir Rishon and all the Deirs. The difference in the Aveda of Iskafia today and the past is depending on the type of people that we are. Today, in the past, people were stronger. So in the past, in Chabad, you were not allowed to eat before davening. And even to drink before davening, which according to Allah is a lot easier, many Chassidim did not drink before davening, and there were Chassidim that got a special header from the Rebbe Rashab to drink before davening. But Bechlal, they didn't drink before davening. Today we're weaker, so today it's a minute Chassidim to eat before davening. There was a Chas, I think his name was Zalmalid Bestulin, or am I mixing up with somebody else? I forget. No, I'm sorry. Belanitsky, no? Belanitsky. So he used to daven with a tkuf, he had to daven with a minyan. He was told by the Rebbe Rashab he had to daven with it was a longer minyan, but there were Chassidim that because of health reasons, they weren't able to do certain things which other Chassidim did. So the Aveda didn't change. The Aveda of Iskaf is the same Aveda that it always was. Anything which you do not need for your health, anything which is extra for you, you should not have, and whatever you do need, you shouldn't do it l'shem taiva, you should do it l'shem shamayim. So there's a Nissim Naaman that was famously used to bring about the fact that Bachrim would put butter on their bread. So in the past, Chassidim would bring about and actually do that. They would have a piece of bread and then have a spoon of butter and eat the butter plain and eat the bread plain. Because you need the nutrients, the protein of the butter, and you need the carbs, whatever, of the bread. So you have to have both of them. But why put it together and make it taste good? So therefore, they eat the bread separately and the butter separately. So Reb Nissim would bring about that in today's generation as well. So when he was in Yechidus one time, they say that the Rebbe told him, he came out himself and he said that the Rebbe told him today's Bachrim are too weak for that. Today's Bachrim can't handle that. A Bachrim today eats bread separately and butter separately, he's going to be grossed out. He won't be able to stomach it down, and it won't be healthy. So he told the Bachrim, so the Rebbe said, today you're allowed to have butter on bread. But it doesn't mean that you have to cover the butter every last piece of bread. You can't leave a muk and pani without butter. I'm saying you put the butter on. To go mamish, go crazy, put every last piece. And that's the Pshat Iskaf, and that as far as I know, that didn't change till today. Today also, you can have a piece of bread and you can put the cheese on it. It doesn't have to be covered every last piece. You can eat it so some parts of it don't have to be. That's very good. Very nice. So Iskafi is the same. Whatever you don't need. So they say in Lubavitch there was on Friday afternoon the Bachrim didn't have seder, so there was a lake over there. So the Chassidish Bachrim, they wanted to sit and learn and daven Friday afternoon. They don't want to go stop swimming in the lake. And in the past, before Mivtzoyim, that was the Seder no Chabad Yeshivas. Friday afternoon was time for swimming or activities. I heard that the Mashpim and the Lubavitch would force the Chassidish Bachrim to go swimming because you have to go B'riyas Haguf. So if you're doing it because the Mashpia said that you're doing it as an Aveda L'Shem Shamayim. So the Aveda of Iskafia was and is the same thing. Whatever you must have for your B'riyas Haguf, you should not do, and whatever you must have, you do the minimum amount. Many years ago, there was a Chavrusa of Bachrim here. There was gym one day. That time we had a set time for gym, and they went to gym, and I saw 20 minutes later they were back in Zal learning. So I asked them, why are you guys? Did you go to gym? So they said we needed for 20 minutes. We finished our game, and now we're ready to continue learning. That's the way it's supposed to be. Sometimes you feel you have to do something. You have to let out some energy, but you don't have to do it the whole complete hour of the gym. As a chas v'shalom to leave 5 minutes early. That's such a skafia. That whatever you need, you do. Whatever l'shem shamayim, and whatever you don't need, you don't. It's the same as guys. Again, the difference is only in the gufim that we have. Today our bodies are weaker, so we need more things. Some of us need to let out more energy. Some we need to eat more food. Many of us have to eat better food. If you don't eat such good food, many of us won't handle it. Shlomo Chaim Kesselman has a story in his book. There's a story, and there was a bacher that confided in him that he doesn't add sugar to his tea. He drinks tea without sugar, but he says, I can't handle it, and every time I drink it, I'm about to throw up, and I'm doing a skafia. So Shlomo Chaim told him, put in sugar to your tea. Shlomo Chaim was the champion of skafia. Shlomo Chaim told him that skafia doesn't mean to torture yourself. It means it shouldn't be geschmack, but if it's torture for you to drink the tea without sugar, then add the sugar. You'll do a skafia in other ways. Don't put 2 spoons of sugar, 1 spoon of sugar, but half a spoon of sugar. Shlomo Chaim, I think, also used to tell Bachrim to the skafia not to completely deny your food. Like say, okay, I'm not eating this food anymore. No more potato chips. Don't make such a achlota, because once you do that, then it's already then there's no more potato. It's not a skafia anymore. Or you should eat potato chips. So once in a while, today I'm not eating it. That's a skafia. Or you eat it, but I'm pushing it for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. So it's the same aveda of skafia. The question is what you need, and then you have to be honest with yourself. If you don't know, you have to ask your doctor. You have to ask someone that knows nutrition. And that's his bad. The bad skafia didn't change at all. Any tips on how to be friendly with another Chassidische Bacher that has very, underlined twice, different ashkafis on various different Chassidische Inyanim than what I believe. For example, V'niflinu, Chabad, Shpitz Chabad, Mashiach, priorities of life. Any tips? So first of all, if the thing is only differences and opinions about ashkafis, but there are people that they like to argue, they have to do dafka against. I was just speaking to a therapist recently. He was telling me about certain types of bachrim. It's called ODD, oppositional defiant disorder. There are people that they get a kick out of going against everybody else. And after he told me, he reminded me that a certain bacher that I was told by his parents that he's ODD, I never know what it was b'chlal. But then I realized this bacher, guys, I shouldn't be saying it because some bachers will remember it maybe. But basically, this bacher used to argue about the weirdest things. He would say, when everyone, like the Coca-Cola is the healthiest drink, he would say such crazy things that everyone knows. Yeah, you drink Coca-Cola, you don't drink Coca-Cola, you know that's not healthy. Or smoking is very healthy. Things like that. And everyone was arguing. If you remember? If you remember, I can see light already. He says that you have to eat raw meat after. You can't eat cooked meat. It's not healthy. Only raw meat. So it's people that get. Also remember. Okay. I didn't want to say the meat one because that was the famous one. Do you remember that one also? The smoking, you remember? There are people that they enjoy arguing. That's what they get a kick out. They don't enjoy when you agree with them. It doesn't make their day. If everyone is going to say one, it's no seichel. It's a disorder. It's a disorder which makes no sense. They like when everyone goes against them. So if that's the issue with this bacher that you're talking about, then to be friendly with him is by continue to argue with him. You'll make his day because that's what he wants. You say no, that makes sense. And when you say what he says that makes no sense, you made his day because you see, you disagree with me, right? But it's a disorder, and I don't know. I'm not a professional to diagnose who has it and who doesn't have it, so I can't tell you. But if the bacher is a normal bacher, and the raya would be if he gets along with other people. He says you can have Reuven and Shimon versus Levi and Yehuda. Reuven and Shimon think so and so about Mashiach and Shpitz Chabad, and Levi think so and so. But Reuven and Shimon get along with themselves, and Levi along with themselves, then it's okay. This bacher that I mentioned before didn't get along with anybody. Argued with everybody. Any person that says something, you have to find what to argue with. But if you have somebody, the guy bets and gets along with other people, then it's not a problem. How do you get along with him? You disagree? Okay, no.
You had a friend that were like him.
Whatever. Okay, no, I can look at it. I can tell you afterwards. There's a story with Rabbi Shmuel Lu. Shmuel Lu has a story, I forget the details, I read it recently, that there was a Rav he's a shliach in England. There was a Rav in England that was very against Miu Yehudi. The Rebbe is one of the Rebbe's biggest Muhammad's is Miu Yehudi. In short, whoever doesn't know that the Israeli government, in order to become Jewish, the Israeli government allows to get converted through a reform conversion, which is obviously not according to halacha, and it leads to terrible problems. The Rebbe spoke about it probably more than anything else the Rebbe spoke about. And the Rebbe asked the Rabbanim to get involved and help change the law. So there was one Rav in England that was Dafka against it. Dafka is not a big deal, it's no problem, on and on and on.
Jacobus?
I don't know, it doesn't say his name when I read it. I think it was in the encounters. So Rabbi Lu, he came to the Rebbe and he asked the Rebbe what to do with this guy. Like, what to do with this rabbi, how to fight him, how to prove him, how to get him back, how to somehow do something. So I'm not being medayik now, I don't remember the pratim, but the punchline the Rebbe told him was, the Rebbe asked him, in the other 612 mitzvahs, he does agree with us? He agrees with what we have to say? Yeah, he's a rabbi, he's a frum yid. So the Rebbe says, so focus on the 612 and try to build up with that and leave this one alone. And Rabbi Lu said that it was a very big eye-opener for him in the concept of Ahavas Yisrael, but the point he's trying to say is that, of course there are things we disagree on, but let's focus on, we both agree that you don't have to put on tefillin, so get him on board, help him, try to get him to help you put on tefillin with other yid. So you want to get friendly with someone that's very different ashkafis on various different chassidische inyanim, but certain things he agrees with you. You both agree you have to learn Chidas Harambam every day, so make a chavrusa to learn Chidas Harambam. You agree you have to learn the Rebbe Sichos, so learn the Rebbe Sichos. You have to get involved in Mitzvah. Whatever you find what to agree upon, work together with that and avoid those subjects. Don't try to make it. Don't try to make a big deal about them to prove them. You guys know opinions and that's it. Another thing is Another idea, I forget who told this to me. They told me that they were Bachrim in 770, that were late at night, they were looking for activities, yeah? Sleeping is not one of them, but they were looking for activities. So they decided that what they did was, they took a topic, any of these noisim, and they started arguing. Okay, you're going to say so, and someone saying so, try to prove. And they went on like for 20 minutes, a half hour, each one saying, and then in the middle of the conversation, now we switch teams. Now, what I was saying till now, I'm going to prove wrong, and what you're saying till now, you're going to prove the opposite. And next exercise to try this. So this could be, if you're lightheaded, if you're if you're a good guy, you know, if you could handle such a thing, and tell the B'chevreman, okay, let's spend now half an hour arguing. I'm going to say what you always say, and you say I'm going to always say. But try to do it convincing. Don't try to say it and prove it wrong as you're saying it. That's, you're not being honest. Try to explain why Dafka, this is the right derech, and old quotes, and try to say convincingly v'chulu. A lot of times that's a little bit of an eye-opener for each other. You try thinking that, put your mind in that way, and put yourself in that mindset that this is the right way. You might suddenly understand where he's coming from. At least you want not agree with him, but at least understand it. Two questions on the same topic. Is it allowed to stop a woman in the street to ask her if she is Jewish for neshek, lulav, shofar, etc.? Is this what the Rebbe wanted from Bachrim? Next question. If we say Al Tivienu L'Dei Nisoyin, since we say Al Tivienu L'Dei Nisoyin, how can I be expected to go on Mivtzoyim on the street asking people if they're Jewish, if I know on a practical level I will for sure be seeing things which I shouldn't be, or maybe I should never go on Mivtzoyim. So when Mivtzoyim, the whole concept of Mivtzoyim, for today it's not the way it's supposed to be. It's a lot of it is, I would say, very, very good, but there's one issue which is not the way it's supposed to be, and that is the original way that Bachar was supposed to go on Mivtzoyim is that the Anhala would decide which Bachar goes where. A Bachar would not on his own make his own route and just raise it wherever he wants. And for this particular reason, regarding the first question, it's 100% wrong for a Bachar to do Mivtzoyim with a woman no matter what. If a woman comes over to you and asks you a question, you have to be civil and polite and answer her questions. But for a Bachar to go and to reach out to a woman and try to do whatever mitzvah, even neshek and lulav and shofar, even those things, a Bachar should not be involved in that at all in an actual basis. You can be behind the scenes, making packages or giving it to your sister, to your mother to go give. But for you yourself to go on the street and approaching women, the Fiyah News Daiti is 100% wrong.
The age of a Bachar, or once you're a shliach, it's okay, whatever.
For a shliach, it's also not the best thing, but for a shliach, it's different. But a kopanim for a Bachar, the way I understand it's 100% wrong. No Bachar should be involved actively going Mivtzoyim for neshek and these kind of things. So you're looking for the Jewish patient. So you go into a room and there's a Jewish patient. So you blow shofar. You're not reaching. If a woman stops you on the street on Rosh Hashanah and asks you to blow shofar, then you blow shofar 100%. But you're not actively going and approaching a woman. In the hospital, if there's a Jewish woman patient in a room, should you go into the room and blow shofar? That's a tougher question. In Svara, I would say it's more kal. It's more kal in Svara, but I would ask somebody first. Huh? Has to be a married person. Not a Bachar shouldn't be involved. In the hospital, I see a svara why it's different. In the hospital, if a woman's in the hospital, and you know that there's a Jewish patient, a Jewish woman patient, and in this room, I would say to go to that room and blow shofar for her. In svara, I would say so. But maybe you should ask someone else before you ask him over. But on the streets, for sure not. What? L'chayra. I would ask someone else. I'm not sure myself.
So if you're doing Chanukah with Tzayim and you see a woman walks by,
should not approach. That's why I understand. Again, you can argue with me. I understand. Huh? What?
What if you're like
No. No.
What's the difference if you see the lady or you talk?
Well, that's the second question. Regarding the Gufi Shel Dover, so if a Bachar will be for sure seeing things, so that the solution is to go to places which are not places which are so princessly. You're going to say that everywhere is princessly, then how can you walk on the street Bechlal? Anywhere you're going to walk down the street, you also have problems. If you walk down the streets Bechlal, then you can also you can also walk to a place which is Lefiyerach, a kosher place, and just like you have to work on yourself, and you walk down a regular street, so you have to work on yourself up here as well.
You go to a Muslim town.
Huh? You're Jews over there.
What about a woman with her kids?
Oh, come on. It's not Shulchan Aruch. A Bissel comment says you have to understand that this is the general car. The general car is you don't put yourself in a place, and you go to a place which are pashas to reasons are such a chash, and if your taka is such a bocher, then you walk down the street, you take off your glasses, and you cover your eyes, and you don't look at anything, and that's you're always makbid on that. Then you're the chayr such a person because it's so hard for you. Then your miftayim should be in a different oifen. Your miftayim should be from far, should be from helping other people in a different kind of way. In yeshiva, huh? It's not. I want to say that when I was a Bach in 770, that Hava told me a rule that most of you probably never heard before, and probably today doesn't really apply for a negative reason. The rule was that a Bach should not walk on Kingston Avenue, you should walk on Albany Avenue. Today, I don't know if Albany is so much better, but that was the official rule of 770. When you're going from 770 to the lunchroom was on the Crown Street, Crown Street, the Baba Shiva over there. So the rule was you have to walk on Albany and not walk on Kingston for these reasons. All right.